Hi, welcome to She Spice. It's been a hurricane week for Diddy Cobbles, the music tycoon who has been inseparable from extravagance and lavishness throughout recent decades rather than blending with superstars and tossing lavish gatherings. Diddy regards himself as in the Metropolitan Detainment Place in Brooklyn, confronting an obviously unique reality captured on government charges counting sex dealing, racketeering, connivance, constrained work, and transportation for prostitution. Diddy has argued not liable to all allegations. Regardless of offering a weighty $50 million bail bundle, which his legitimate group proposed would be co-endorsed by his family and include tough travel limitations and a GPS screen, he was denied bail 2 times. There's some informing fill you in about in the sex dealing and racketeering government charges against Diddy Combs. A second adjudicator inside the hour has denied his request to be delivered on bail. Combs is blamed for manhandling people for quite a long time, and he will remain in prison. Clearly, after this administering eyewitness, journalist Darla Miles inhabits the town hall in Lower Manhattan with the letting the cat out of the bag. Darla Bill Diddy's lawyers went previously an alternate adjudicator today in an alternate court, expecting an alternate decision also. Trusting that Diddy would have the option to leave this court today, this town hall today, on a $50 million bond, yet that didn't work out as expected after government investigators tipped the hand on their case, and given more subtleties, the adjudicator once more briefly time expressed no briefly straight day within a government town hall investigate. Tours and guard lawyers for Shady Combs, spending hours going this way and that about delivering him on bail, the present contentions entering on 2 issues, hazard of flight, furthermore, witness altering government, examiners telling the court casualties. Also, witnesses have generally expressed their intense anxiety toward the 54-year-old hip-hop symbol, one lady depicting her response to the common suit recorded by Cassie Ventura. The Metropolitan Confinement Center in Brooklyn is no Ritz-Carlton frequently portrayed as terrible. The office has been scrutinized for its brutal circumstances. Reports from previous prisoners and legitimate specialists paint a dismal picture of stuffing, wild brutality, with deficient food and a general absence of essential amenities. This is a long way from the lavish way of life Diddy was acquainted with. Shamed music tycoon Diddy Combs, once known for his luxurious way of life and living enormously in his extravagant manners, has a new home as he anticipates preliminary in his government sex dealing case last week. Organizers Protection Group ineffectively battled to keep the music maker out of government prison after his capture. Now his new digs once housed other prominent prisoners, including R. Kelly Fetty, Sam Bankman liberated, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Diddy is at present housed at the Metropolitan Entertainment Place in Brooklyn, New York, an unmistakable contrast from the marvelousness, allure, and abundance in Hollywood and Star Island in Miami Oceanside, Florida. However, MDC Brooklyn has been depicted as terrible with stunning circumstances. The office that presently houses Diddy opened in the mid-1999s. Furthermore, it is the main government prison in New York City after the Agency of Jails shut down its Metropolitan Remedial Center in 2021, after many issues became exposed in the wake of Jeffrey's self-destruction. Only 2 years sooner, positioned in the exceptional lodging unit Satu, and on self-destruction, observed that because of his high-profile status, Diddy is presently encountering the obvious truth of jail life. The Satu is intended for the security of detainees who are thought of as in danger because of their big name status or different elements for Diddy's situation. This implies outrageous confinement, no contact with other prisoners, and no celebrity treatment. Simply the uncovered least necessities. Diddy's lawyer contended in lawful desk work. MDC Brooklyn isn't good for pre-preliminary confinement, referring to keeping passings and other concerns. His lawyer, Imprint Agnifilo, asked the appointed authority for Diddy to be moved to another Jersey prison, yet the appointed authority says it really depends on the Department of Detention facilities to choose, and keeping in mind that Diddy is being housed in a unique lodging unit otherwise called SHU, authorities say he's not getting any unique treatment yet, are intently observing him as he's been put on procedural self-destruction watch in the event that the shamed maker endeavors to hurt himself. However, his lawyer says his client isn't, by any stretch of the imagination, self-destructive, saying the investor is solid, sure, and centered on his safeguard. Life in the SGU is tiresome. Detainees are restricted to their cells for 23 hours daily, permitted out just for brief times of diversion and dinners. The food is famously terrible. Previous aides portrays it as scarcely eatable. This could make sense of reports that Diddy isn't eating, potentially dreading his food could be messed with or harmed. His lawyers are saying that the circumstances there at MDC are terrible, awful. They're not fitting to remain in what is your experience there, is it? Truly as appalling as they're saying. I've had numerous clients who are housed in MDC Brooklyn, and I can let you know the reports that the office is something that is not as much as want alluring, is 100% exact. There's been a great deal of reports of it being beneath standard as far as jail norms, and obviously a jail isn't intended to be an ape. Reable place, obviously they need to give the essential common freedoms to their prisoners also. MDC Brooklyn has been tormented with packing with brutality, with poor food, with poor neatness. You and Diddy, who is in a defensive care unit, you is as yet encountering all the awful things that MDC Brooklyn needs to offer and it doesn't bring a ton to the table as far as solace or things that a detainee would be searching for. The seclusion is maybe the hardest part. High-profile prisoners like Diddy are kept under consistent reconnaissance, wearing tear-away paper pieces of clothing and elastic shower shoes to forestall any self-damage. There's no pad, simply a bed and a cover. Electronic gadgets are restricted. However, he may be permitted a radio for short periods. This is a long way from the chateaus and personal luxury planes he once delighted in with, and absolutely, Diddy would confront. Likely risk since a jail, by goodness of it being a jail, isn't really a decent spot to be. It's anything but a protected spot to be. Yet especially this office is known to have a great deal of issues in the last not many years. What might it resemble for Diddy in this defensive consideration unit? I presume he's isolated from all-inclusive communities in any case. What is his everyday like? So Diddy's life in the shoe in that particular lodging unit, where he's been set for his own security, will be something that is fairly routine and unremarkable. He won't be essentially in any event, partaking in a portion of the things that the overall public, otherwise known as Gen Pop, appreciate. Since he's being in a unique, segregated unit for his own well-being, which implies he will be under more consistent perception by monitors, his comings. What's more, goings all through his cell for set, porting time, and for feast. Time is going to be more examined, so despite the fact that the shoe unit is actually for jail detainee security, and obviously Diddy being a high-profile detainee requires that, it additionally implies more limitations for that detainee being imprisoned in MDC. Brooklyn presents huge challenges for Diddy's legitimate safeguard correspondence with his lawyers, which is confined to explicit times. What-not cooperations are firmly observed. There's no extraordinary treatment for VIP litigants, meaning Diddy has to meet his attorneys in the equivalent mutual regions as different detainees. Government preliminary lawyer Philip Hamilton takes note of that this absence of protection and the general conditions make it a lot harder to set up a protection. Diddy has argued that he is not blameworthy for these charges, so obviously we're anticipating that he should bring major areas of strength for a safeguard with his lawyers. His group clearly will get ready in any case. Does it add a layer of challenge? The reality that Diddy is in jail. What does it look like for lawyers wanting to meet with him? Would they have their own rooms? Would they talk over those telephone things we find in films? What would it truly seem to be like when you have a client who is in a correctional facility? You are meeting with them on legitimate visits, and you are conversing with them on a hotline, which is a lawyer or legitimate call, where it's not being recorded and it's managed the cost of that honor. You know that legal right to confidentiality and security there, but it presents obstacles while having a client. In jail, in light of the fact that you're somewhat, truly reliant on the jail plan, the jail call. You can't call your client. They're calling you. So regardless of whether you have something that you really want to converse with your client about desperately, you got to pause until you get that jail call from jail, or you're making that visit yourself to prison to have a lawful visit. Additionally, the absence of solid Wi-Fi in MDC Brooklyn is a huge impediment. Diddy's case includes huge measures of advanced proof, many terabytes as per examiners, without legitimate admittance to this information. Constructing a strong safeguard turns out to be significantly really testing. Manhandled, compromised, and forced ladies and others around him to satisfy sexual wants, safeguard his standing, and hide his direct, precisely exact thing. You had just expressed a portion of these activities. Supposedly they returned to 2009. Well, a parcel that harms him. You know, since there's a great deal of witnesses, a ton of history, and a great deal of correspondence that most likely the public authority has as of now gotten to. Help the charges yet. Subscribe She Spice for more videos.